Hello, class. Miss Jen here with Chapter 23, Lesson 2, Part 2. This is the second part of our lesson called The French Revolution, but we could call Part 2 Napoleon. Let's talk about it, and you'll have a little assignment at the end. Let's go. So, yesterday we talked about the French Revolution. The monarchy was overthrown, different groups held power, more constitutions were written, and we ended up with a council of 5 men called the Directory. This is the year 1795. The Directory wasn't doing a real great job. The domestic situation of France was still questionable, but militarily, France was in really good shape. One man, a young French general, was turning heads fighting in Italy. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte. Let's talk about Napoleon, shall we? So Napoleon was born and raised on the island of Corsica in the Mediterranean in the year 1769. He grew up and he went to basically military academy, becoming an officer within the army. His competence as an officer had him rise to the rank of general by the age of 24, which is crazy. After the Italian campaign, where he gained some fame, he went to Egypt to fight the British in 1799. It was while in Egypt that Napoleon heard about all those political troubles back home, so he went back to France to see how he could help. Now, Napoleon had been a supporter of the French Revolution, but getting home, he did not like the Directory. He hoped to overthrow the Directory in a coup d'etat, which we generally just call a coup, like coo, like a pigeon, coup. Napoleon ended up being the first consul of France, basically being the strong leader the French people had been calling for. Now, Napoleon got right to work reorganizing the government to strengthen his control. He revamped the country's finances and tax system. He created a new legal system called the Napoleonic Code, which was based on Enlightenment ideals, so that's pretty cool. Napoleon also worked to mend the rift between the government and the Roman Catholic Church. You have to understand that the Roman Catholic Church had supported the monarchy, so overthrowing the monarchy had been kind of against the Roman Catholic Church. So he helped to mend that relationship. In 1804, Napoleon just went ahead and crowned himself emperor. France was now officially an empire. At this point, Napoleon goes on a bit of a conquest spree. By 1807, the French Empire stretched from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to Russia. Yep, you can see it spreads from France all the way over there. You've got dependencies, allies, and downright French territory. So he goes on to expand. Now, Napoleon used a number of forceful methods to build his empire. He conquered some lands, but forced some countries to ally with him. Napoleon had his eyes on Britain. He had planned on crossing the English Channel into Britain, but his plan was wrecked when the French Navy suffered a massive defeat at the hands of the British Admiral Lord Horatio Nelson, who is pretty much a national hero in Britain to this day. This naval battle was called the Battle of Trafalgar, off the coast of Spain. You can see this sweet naval video here, the Battle of Trafalgar in 90 seconds, if you so choose to. Now, if he could not defeat the British on the sea, Napoleon would hit them in their wallets. Napoleon concocted what was called the Continental Plan, where he forbid countries in his empire, which was significant, to trade with Britain. This plan was difficult to enforce, however, and ultimately failed. So, on to Russia. Napoleon assembled an army of 600,000 to invade Russia. Napoleon moved in the summer of 1812. The Russians fought only one battle and then sort of suckered Napoleon deeper and deeper into the country, delaying more or less delaying actions until the brutal Russian winter fell upon Napoleon and his forces. Napoleon's men were not prepared for the winter and basically had to go home. Fewer than 100,000 of that army of 600,000 made it back to France. With his army decimated, Napoleon was captured and exiled to the island of Elba off the coast of Italy. The brutal Russian winter got Napoleon, got Hitler. History. This is why history is important, kids. Things repeat themselves. That's one of those things. Now, in a move that sounds like an attempt to make a Hollywood sequel, Napoleon escaped the island of Elba and showed back up in France a few years later. The year is now 1815. Being a national hero and all, he quickly won public support and assembled his old army, and then he was back up to his old tricks again. It took an international force led by the now famous British Duke of Wellington to defeat him in Belgium at one of the most famous battles in history, the Battle of Waterloo. This time, they exiled Napoleon to the island of St. Helena in the Atlantic, where Napoleon died in 1819. They didn't kill him, he just died. There are whole movies about the Battle of Waterloo, but you can get the summary below. Here's Waterloo in 2 minutes. Very informational. A very informative 2 minutes. Alright, this leads us into the Congress of Vienna. You see, in September of 1814, the major leaders of Europe all met up to try and restore peace to the crap storm that had been Western Europe, thanks to Napoleon. They were a conservative bunch, not really caring for individual rights so much. They went about restoring the monarchies that had ruled Europe before Napoleon went and conquered it. They also redrew the borders, taking away all the land that Napoleon had conquered. They took all that away from France, and even forced France to pay damages to countries they had conquered. The ultimate idea of this Congress of Vienna was to create a balance so that no one country in Europe could conquer the rest of Europe. So to keep them all equally strong, so you really needed a lot of people to forge an empire, a lot of alliances. So that was the idea. Balance would keep them safe. The Congress would meet again from time to time in what would be called the Concert of Europe. It is the Concert of Europe. They all look very imperial, don't they? That's it for content. Today's assignment could be considered a web quest because you won't find the answer in your book or in the lesson. You will have to look for it using your Google machine. There are multiple answers and theories as well, so as long as you find and elaborate on one, you'll be in good shape. So there's a wide range of possible answers. Please answer with a few sentences on what you find. Napoleon was a problem for Europe. He conquered a great deal of it, was defeated, exiled, came back for more. He was defeated for the last time at Waterloo. With this in mind, I ask you, why was Napoleon exiled and not executed after that Battle of Waterloo? So the second time, when he comes back and he's defeated again, why did they not just kill him? Why did they exile him again? As I mentioned, there are a variety of answers. I tended to see 2 last year. So it'll probably be one of those 2. So look it up. Why did they not execute Napoleon Bonaparte? I want to say that's it, but it's not, because you have a Teen Biz on the very next page, because it's Thursday. It's Teen Biz Thursday. Go ahead and knock that out. That's all for today. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, hey, have a good one, alright?